Hello and welcome to Titanbreak here on Dice on Ice as we dive into the mythic Greek realm of Elysios, where our starbound heroes delve into the mysteries of prophecy and ancient wars between gods and titans. Last time, our heroes heard the summons of an oracle who who has her home deep within a temple in the glorious holy city of Pythos. Her temple is this grand monument that stretches to the sky, surrounded by baths and ponds and seers and temple hands that keep to it in prestige place. And deep below, in caves below, you delved, finding strange intruders in those caves, creatures of the sea itself, warped tritons in service to the mad titan Sidon. And you fought a great beast, one of his chosen, a great creature that half the body of a triton in its lower half, a great crab creature that rended your armor and weapons alike as it beat you down. But in the end, it was slaughtered, impaled by the spear of Achesius in your fatal blow, finishing it off. You progressed further down, wondering, perhaps the oracle is not safe. You came across her shrine in disarray, abandoned, but a strange fountain with strange words written on its tablet to drink and to see like she does. And so you drank, all of you, but Echo, as Echo stayed behind perhaps to keep a lookout, perhaps because she did not trust the water of the gods. Regardless, the three of you who were not Echo found yourself in a deep slumber, awaking in a strange, eternal, marble-floored, ankle-deep watered basin. And at its center, where the floor just stretched on to infinity in either directions, at its center was a dais, a huge platform. And on this platform was a long lounging bed. And on this lounging bed was a titan who has not been seen or even remembered by mortal kind for the past centuries. Lutheria herself, the titan of nightmares and death. As she mused to you that your oracle is here no longer, that she's been captured by the will of the titans, and that if you wish to heed whatever summons she truly had for you, you'd have to find her first. And with that, she banished you from this bathhouse realm. As you four find yourselves fully conscious and aware inside that little shrine, inside that shrine underneath the ground in the cave. How do you react to this sudden epiphany that the oracle is no longer present?
I think Achesius kind of, when he comes to and regains control of his body, he takes a few staggering steps over to a nearby column and kind of reaches out and puts his hand against it, bringing his other hand kind of up to his brow. What was that? He turns around to see if anybody else seems as confused as he is.
I think that Cersei, already sword drawn, starts for the door to this area, and we must warn the others, the worshippers of the Oracle. They must know about what has happened at once. I mean, Astera, not Cersei.
Achesius still seems like he's kind of not quite caught up in the moment yet. He seems almost like his head is swimming. He starts kind of looking around for his shield and his spear to gather them up before kind of half coherently kind of following Astera.
At this point, Echo would address the group in total. What did you guys see?
Cersei would turn. I mean, fuck. Sorry. Astera. Astera would turn and look at Echo. The Oracle is gone. In her place, a Titan.
She was a Titan? I thought the Titans were under control. I thought the gods had put them in their place long ago.
Gods would have you believe that, but as we can see, it is not true.
Did the Titan give her name?
I don't remember. Did she give her name? She did. Okay. Yes. Lutheria.
Echo would then just kind of look puzzled, not saying anything else.
She has taken the Oracle. And we must find her.
But why? Why did she take the Oracle? And more importantly, why tell us that she did so? What does she have to gain playing us this way? What game is going on here?
Some sort of trap. The Oracle has nothing, but she is a figurehead. She knows that if the Oracle is taken, then people will look for her. Possibly many people.
She dangles this Oracle as if she were a carrot on a string and we were the ass. So we need to know what we are doing and why.
I agree. We cannot just go blindly towards Lutheria. We need a plan. We need to tell the Oracle's priestesses.
Agreed. They need to know what has happened here today.
Yeah, like I said, Achilles will make sure he's got all of his belongings gathered, those that he was allowed to bring this far. He kind of looks down where he's got this this wound kind of on his rib cage, just beneath the curvature of his armor. And he kind of winces a little, and then just decides he's just going to handle it later.
And Echo would at that point say, well, it seems we've made a decision then. Let's return to the temple. And she would gather up all her things and start to make for the door.
Esther would follow.
As you move about in this place, do you feel the world around you tremble, as if the cave itself is seizing, weeping perhaps for the loss of this oracle? It roars in that strange earthly roar that you feel in your bones and in your teeth rather than through your ears. And after a moment, it passes, though the clattering of pottery signified that it was quite a tremble.
do we find anything whenever we exit?
And as you exit this small underground shrine, you can see that the air is filled with a strange dust and debris. As you can see the chain reaction of this quake seemingly spreading out throughout the cave around you. The water ripples, almost like thrashing back and forth from the seismic activity. There's a booming voice that can be heard from all around you. My warden is asleep, and my bonds have weakened. As the earth around you trembles and shakes more. The cave walls begin to shatter and crack, the ceiling itself too. Pieces of stone flake away as if they were nothing but plaster. Soon, it's revealed that there's these bony ribcage behind the cave wall to your left. And as more of this wall falls away from this quake, more and more of these ribs are shown, perhaps the body of a long snake. And breaking free from the stone, the skull of a serpent, massive, breaks free, looking at the four of you. I am Python, the dragon of Ophalon, and you shall be the first to bleed. And so the creature begins to stir from its earthly prison. It is still somewhat trapped, however. You'll have a round to go around of actions that you might want to take before it truly gets loose. What would you like to do?
These bones are actual bone, or are they like bone-shaped rock?
They're actual bone with the texture
Okay.
and color of bone.
I think Achesius almost instinctively kind of drops into a crouch and pulls his shield around, and it's almost like the shield just kind of like spins until it's into the proper position or whatever, and there's kind of this shoo, as it kind of slams home, and as it's in place and Achesius is kind of peering over the cut out of the corner, not a corner, but out of the edge where his spear is usually rested. He kind of watches this thing for just a moment. Then he reaches down to his belt and pulls his falcata, this kind of short curved blade, has kind of a weighty end towards it. And he takes like these long striding steps over to where this thing is still attached to the wall. And what I would like to do is try to separate two of the vertebrae with the falcata.
Awesome. Yeah, give me that attack roll then.
All right.
At advantage, because this thing is...
Okay.
I'll call it prone, is the...
All right. And I have extra attack, so I will swing twice. Nice. Okay, the first one is going to be a 26 to hit. Yes, and then a 20 on the second one for a total of 27.
Yep, that'll both hit.
Sweet. How do you do criticals again?
Take all your... double all your damage dice. Like, double the number of dice.
And then add the modifier once.
Yep.
Okay, so the first one is going to be a whopping 6 points.
All right.
The second will be 16 points. Maximum.
All right. You are able to crash and lodge this weapon that you have into the bone and between the vertebrae, and it snaps and cuts through and kind of shatters the bone. The bone seems to almost be fragile in a sense. And we'll move then to Xanthine. What would you like to do? Because you have one turn before the creature breaks free of the stone.
Xanthine, seeing Achesius basically run into danger, will quickly cast Shield of Faith. So you see, it's almost like this, as she says the words and casts a spell, it's like this bubble of water almost covers Achesius in its entirety. And when it goes over top of him, it almost melts into him, giving him this sheen of glistening like water, though you don't feel it, Achesius. But you have +2 to your AC. As
Awesome.
long as I can concentrate on it. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a bonus action. And then for a turn, she quickly, as soon as that has manifested and Achesius is protected, she will then quickly turn that energy that she's got coalescing around her, that water, and it's almost like it instantaneously freezes as it leaves her hands, and it shoots towards the creature that's coming out of the ground. She's doing Ray of Frost.
All right.
So I will need to roll for that. 21 to hit.
That'll hit.
Okay, so that will be... We are level 5, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Oh, 15 points of cold damage. And its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of my next turn.
All right. We'll move to you, Echo. What would you like to do before the creature breaks free?
How long has it been since our last fight?
Mere, 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Okay, awesome. Then Echo will run up to the part that's still within reach of the snake, extend her arm from out underneath her cloak, and it will have this deathly dark purple glow to it as she makes contact with the snake and casts Vampiric Touch. So that is an 18 to hit.
Yep, that'll hit.
Okay, and so that will do 9 necrotic damage, and I will get back 4 hit points then.
All right. And lastly, it goes to you, Estera. What do you do before the beast breaks free of its stone prison?
Stera charges full on at the center mass of this thing, wherever she can find the most flesh to hit. That is what she does, and she brings up her sword and she brings it down, and you see that as she does so, her eyes just flare in this light, and you almost see a double of the sword. As a bonus action, she is going to cast Spiritual Weapon.
Okay, cool.
So,
Attacks up close with this thing get advantage because it is considered prone until it breaks free.
oh yeah. All right, well then she is pouring everything into this. She's going to smite it all day long. Okay, sorry. That is a 26.
Yep, that'll hit.
Then a dirty 20.
That'll also hit.
And then for the spiritual weapon, another dirty 20.
Yep.
All right. Can a paladin smite on both of their attacks if they have the spell slots for them?
Yep.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
I believe so. unless it's gated on once per turn.
It doesn't say, it just says whenever I make a melee attack.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just limited by number of slots then.
Okay, perfect. I need to bring out my calculator because this is going to be...
And this is considered an undead for the sake of your smite.
Oh my. So it does 3d8?
If you're just spending a first level spell slot, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Give me a moment.
Gotta pull out your graphing calculator.
It's true. So, the first one is going to do 25
All right.
points, and then 27, and then with my spiritual weapon, that is going to do 7.
All right. Smash, smash, smash. These blows, you just shatter these bones. So they're still quite brittle in this stage. And all of a sudden, this full beast of a thing rips itself out from the rock, and it coils around. It's pulled on these two large front paws. It has no hind legs, but then these almost big bat-like wings, although just the bones themselves, begin to kind of break out from its back, kind of flaking away and breaking away the brittle rocks. Imagine a serpent with these front claws and huge wings, though all bone. And with a close eye, you notice that spreading across its body is its own scales, and the muscles behind them slowly forming and spreading to stitch itself back together in full composition. I am saved, awoken by Lutheria, and I will crush you before you ever get to her, is what it kind of bellows out to you in this deep, booming voice. And for that, we're going to roll initiative now as we face against Python, the dragon of the Omphalon. Soon my form will be complete, and all the world will tremble before me. I was looking at who's this period person. I'm gonna just put their name in as a dot.
Oh, sorry, I did that to try to keep it from peeking in on the corner of the camera feed. I'll fix it.
Who is this? Who is this dot person? All right, so that goes Achesius, then Echo, then not Cersei, then Xanthine, and finally the Python. All right, Achesius, you stand face to face with a huge skeletal serpentine maw with huge wicked fangs. This creature is larger than anything else. It's a huge sized creature. Its top scrapes the ceiling of this cave, and its long serpentine tail and body stretches all around you. What do you want to do?
Achesius, from where he's struck this thing twice with his falcata, is basically just going to leave it where the last sword stroke landed. Is going to spin kind of more towards the face of this creature now, kind of just shifting on his ball of his foot and planting his other foot down as he kind of completes the spin, bringing that shield back around again with a kind of into place. And this time he's reaching behind his back and drawing his war spear, and it rests right into that small groove kind of at the top of his shield. And again, he takes two like big striding steps forward and is going to try to stab this thing twice in the head.
All right, you no longer have advantage because it has its full faculties now.
Okay. 17.
A 17 just hits.
Good deal. Okay. The second one, yes, is a 17 on the die plus 8, 25. Okay, so 2 hits. The first of which will be 11 points of damage. And the second is going to be 13 points of damage, both piercing. So once he's rounded on this thing and pulled his spear out, it's barely even in his hand before he's thrusting forward, and he drives this spear twice in rapid succession into the bone of this thing's skull before falling back kind of more into a slightly defensive position behind his shield as best he can get. And as he does that, oh wait, I used shield wall in the last fight, so I don't have it back yet. Never mind. So I'm good.
All right, perfect. All right, Echo, it is your turn as this great skeletal undead dragon creature begins to lash out at all of you. What do you want to do?
Echo, as she looks notably frustrated at their plight, then outstretches her other hand from underneath her cloak. This time her hand appears almost similar to the snake itself as it looks skeletal. She reaches out to cast Chill Touch.
All right, perfect.
So that is a 22.
That will hit.
Okay, and that will do 13 points of cold damage. Or sorry, necrotic damage.
All right, perfect. And this thing is undead, so it has disadvantage on attack rolls against you, I believe, from Chill Touch. That'll then bring us to Astera.
Okay, so Astera, again, finding victory in her previous tactics, is going to again hit this thing with her longsword, and you can see the spiritual weapon mimicking, almost creating a shadow of Astera right beside her. And I pre-rolled, so you don't have to awkwardly wait for me to do math again. So that's an 18, a 26, and a 20, dirty 20. For her 2 weapon
18,
attacks.
26, and 20? Yep.
Yeah.
That
so
hits all 3.
Okay, cool. So that is going to do 14 damage, 30 damage. That one was with a Divine Smite. And then her spiritual weapon did 8.
All right, that's a huge number. You just crack into this thing, and you send bone splinters flying. You're able to just sever like this. It's so brittle, these bones as they are, but you can kind of cut these bones and shatter them off as like its flesh is trying to stitch over them, and wounds would appear in their place as the flesh slowly creeps over where the bones once were. It seems like the wounds it suffers now, it keeps once it's trying to regenerate. And Xanthine, it goes to you.
So as Xanthine starts to chant an intonation again, the wind around her starts to whip up. First it starts blowing her hair, then her clothing, and all of a sudden she starts to rise from the ground. And as she starts to rise, there's a sudden, very loud ringing noise that is coming on the other side of the creature. So a 10-foot radius sphere that's just going to, like, this thing is huge, right?
Yeah, it's literally huge.
Yeah. So this sphere is going to be centered on it and not Achesius or Astera or Echo that are close by it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So ringing noise starts up there, and it gets louder and louder until the sound is so very painful. The creature needs to make a Constitution saving throw. I'm casting Shatter.
Perfect. All right. It has big bonus. Let's see. 19 it gets total.
My DC is 16. So yeah, it made it. Okay, so it's going to take half damage. Well, I rolled 3 3s, so that's 9. So it'll take
4 then.
4. And Xanthine, while in the air, will fly 10 feet closer, but still staying behind everybody there. So she's 10 feet closer now than she was before, as the wind kind of dies down a little bit.
It is now the python's turn. As you can see, these scales, golden, cover it now from head to tail. It's finally stitched itself back together, and standing before you is the great aged python of legend itself, a creature thought to have been slain or was slain by the gods themselves in eon past, but now it stands there before you in full glory as it hisses out with a tongue now fleshy. You will be my first meal. Ha 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 ha. It laughs before breathing in and expelling a huge gout of flame upon the 4 of you. All of you, please make dexterity saving throws. All right, that's going to be a pass for Astera and Echo, but a fail for Achesius and Xanthine, as you're unable to dodge the fire. So 36 damage you both take, and then Astera and Echo, you take 18. Is able to have the damage by succeeding on your dexterity saving throw. Rears back. I can be defeated by no one. No mortal will ever slay me. Achesius, it is your turn.
Ouch. So Achesius has fallen to his knees. He is not looking like he's faring well, just from this one roiling fire that has just come around. He put his shield at the wrong angle, and it just came straight into his face and just across his arm. I think his shoulder is like blackened and cracked looking, and probably parts of his face as well. And he is gritting his teeth so hard that there's blood starting to come out of the corner of his mouth. And he kind of looks at this thing with this intense hatred on his face. And he puts the butt of his spear against the stone of this corridor and kind of uses that to help pull himself back up to his feet and spits blood at his feet, brings his shield back up and rests the spear back in his place. And he's going to charge in and strike. Oh, God. I rolled a 1 on the first one.
Misses as the creature smacks you away, battering with the back of its hand, your shield knocking you off balance.
And as he hits me to the side, I use the shield and kind of slam it down to the ground to catch myself from falling all the way over. And as I do so, I whip around backwards with the spear, letting the weight of the head of the war spear do most of the swing and strike with a dirty 20.
Dirty 20 hits.
Okay. For 11 points.
Oof. Nice blow.
It's it is very obvious that Akisius could use some help, even if he's not going to ask for it.
All right. Perfect. Echo. It comes to you. It is the great beast of Python himself. Bears down on all of you with a great furnace in its belly and claws that are swords and scales that are shields. What do you want to do?
Looking rather notably worried, Echo then decides to draw her rapier that's been around her waist and makes an attack against the rib closest to her to try and get it in between the bones. And that's an 18.
An 18 will hit.
Okay, so that is D. Where's my D8? There it is. And that is a 5.
Ah! You dare strike me? As it gets hit by your spell. Astera, it is your turn.
Stera turns to this thing for a moment, takes a pause from the onslaught. She holds her hand out. Begone, foul Titan. Your might in this world has waned, and it is now your time to grovel before us. And she is going to use her channel divinity to try and strike fear into this Titan's heart.
What do I have to do?
Wisdom saving throw, please.
I got a 5 total.
Hell yeah. So he is now frightened for 1 minute and can repeat the saving throw at the end of his turn.
No, it cannot be! How could I be bested by you mortals? As it starts to kind of slither and backpedaling a bit.
Because you are forgotten.
Xanthine.
Sorry, I can use my bonus action to do another hiya with my...
Oh, that's right. Does attacking it end your fear on it, or no?
I don't know.
Well, it'll say in the channel divinity.
It'll say.
If it passes. I just know that some fear effects cancel if you actually strike them or something. It's your Oath of Conquest, right?
Yes. Sorry, I'm looking in the wrong spot. It just says it becomes frightened for a minute, and they can repeat the saving throw. So.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, spells like cause fear and stuff, they end if you strike it and stuff. So
okay.
I didn't want you to cancel your own ability by accident.
Yeah, that would suck. Okay.
So yeah, go ahead and strike with your spiritual weapon.
Okay, that is That's a 13 to hit.
That is going to be a miss, as it's now backpedaling and dodging blows as if it has a bit of mortal fear. Xanthine, it is your turn. For real this time.
Seeing almost her like this creature is like backpedaling, it's getting away, so she sees her moment to come in. Achesius, you got toasted, you're like very well singed, right? So she's going to run up behind you and lay her hands on you and cast Cure Wounds, doing it as a level 2. 1 and a 7, so 8 plus 4. You take get 12 healing. And then I believe what she's going to do is ready her shield now that she's there and stand beside him.
All right, perfect.
Achesius, stand strong.
He kind of locks shields and then looks in Xanthine's direction and just kind of gives a nod.
Yeah, and you notice that she is also severely burned as well, as you were.
So it is the Python's turn. It backpedals more. No, this cannot be. You are not mere mortals. No, no. I will not return. Once again, I will not be imprisoned. I will not be defeated. No. As it tries to grovel and backpedal and flee a bit, but it's found itself in kind of a spot where it kind of can't really move much further, as it's too large for this area. It is at the end of its turn, it gets to retake that saving throw.
Yeah, at the end. Yeah.
Perfect. So it's taking essentially the dodge actions, which means that you'll have disadvantage on attacks against it, and then it's going to try and break free of this magical fear it has. It got a 15 on its roll.
That will pass.
I will not be defeated by the likes of you. It kind of screams once more in full revoltingness. That'll bring us back up to the top with Achesius.
Okay, so seeing that the initial fear that it had is kind of fading, that it's kind of bolstered itself, Achesius is going to have to fall back to plan B, instead of trying to keep his ground and help him and Xanthine kind of nurse their wounds a bit. Instead, he's going to have to press the offensive to try to keep this thing back. So again, he's going to advance forward and is going to strike out twice in rapid succession with his war spear.
Both of these attacks are disadvantage because of his dodge.
Yep.
As much as a huge creature can dodge, I imagine it's more deflecting with his shield-like scales.
The first is only a 12.
Yep, that'll miss.
Okay. Oh, what was that? Oh no. And the other one is another 1, so a 9 total. Yeah, so he strikes
You are
out.
petty. You are mortal. I see it now. My old eyes amused me, but now I see through this haze no longer. I see weakness for what it is.
My hand hesitates only to strike a coward.
Oh. All right, go on to you, Echo.
So at this point, Echo's almost looking at the snake with pity and says, if it were different circumstances, your fate wouldn't have ended so tragically. But we have a purpose beyond this, and I cannot be dying here. And with that, she raises her hand to cast Eldritch Blast.
Right, perfect. You have disadvantage on these rolls, So that's roll 2 dice and take the worst result.
Right. So the first beam is a 17,
Yep, that'll hit.
and the second one is a 12.
So the 17 will hit and the 12 will miss.
Okay, and for the damage, a 5.
5 points of damage is enough as you strike it. Ah! No, no, no! It screams at you. Astera, what would you like to do?
Astera, even though she feels the power that she has more or less stolen from the gods wane. She still sees the spectral blade ready to strike beside her, and that gives her strength, and so she attacks again. So, that's 26 and a 16 with her longsword to hit.
Those are at disadvantage?
Yes, yep.
Right. The 16 will miss.
Okay. So that is going to do 14 points. And then with her spiritual weapon, that's a 17 to hit.
That'll hit.
And it's going to do 5 points of damage.
Right, perfect. As you smash it, you're cutting in these severe wounds. This creature before you, despite being magnificent and golden, is also tarnished now with the red blood that is spilling from multiple wounds between these nasty puncture wounds of Achilles' spear, the singe marks and blasted craters from Echo's magic, and from these lacerations carved by Astera and her blades. He goes to you, Xanthine. What would you like to do?
So now that Xanthine has kind of closed in with Achilles and Astera and Echo, she will actually advance again to where Achilles is, locking her shield again, but with her free hand, she reaches out to touch this creature. And as she does so, you could feel Achilles, like the air around you starts to become charged, and her hand starts to crackle as she is attempting to do shocking grasp.
Right, it's disadvantage.
It doesn't have any metal at this moment, does it?
Correct. It's despite its scales being gold in color, it's not made of iron.
Okay, so that will be 13.
13 will miss. Touch me not, mortal.
Xanthine quickly, as she realizes, as she swings, tries to reach out and misses this creature, she quickly says another word and touches herself, casting healing word on myself as a bonus action.
Perfect.
6.
Astera, the python, rears back with its long serpentine head, its fanged mouth agape as it goes down and tries to bite into you, almost biting you whole.
As it does so, Achilles is going to roll his shield in Astera's direction, and is going to use his Phoenix Warrior feat ability that allows him, if an ally is attacked within 5 feet, he can use his reaction to give them a +2 to their AC versus that attack.
Thank you.
All right, perfect. This thing got a 16 to hit. Does that hit you then?
No. It does not.
Clang! You can feel Achilles, the one of these teeth, these long serpentine teeth, puncture through the metal of your shield, and like it's inches away from your bare flesh, where your bracers end. You can see that a venom drips down from its fangs, but it's dislodged and caught. Sorry, it's lodged and caught as it tries to rear back and pulls it out, rending a hole, but also breaking its tooth in the process, as you have a fragmented python tooth clattered to your feet. Achesius, what do you do?
Achesius is furious. This shield is like everything to him. This was basically the only thing that he kept of Agonitis. Yeah, Agonitis. This is the only thing that he kept of his. And this thing was immaculate. He takes perfect care of this thing. So now that there's this hole punctured in it, he kind of pulls it away from himself just enough to kind of examine this hole, and the corners of his jaw kind of tense beneath the edges of his helmet, and he rises up from where he blocked this bite for Astera, and brings his shield back up in front of him again and says, "There was a reason the world was taken from you. You are not worthy of it." And he's going to step forward and strike twice more with his war spear.
All right, perfect. Give me those attack rolls. It
Are
is
they
no longer at disadvantage.
good deal? 11 on the first one.
11 will miss.
Come on, baby. Yes, there we go. 27 on the second.
Yep, that'll do.
Sweet. Okay, 10 points of piercing.
10 points of piercing?
Mm-hmm.
Gah! Stings.
And I don't know if it matters or not, but it's made of orichalcum. If it
Perfect. It does not matter in this case, but thank you.
I'll try to remember in the future, just in case.
No worries. Right. Echo. Oh, go ahead.
Do you recall if did I use second wind last combat? Do you know? Does anybody recall?
I cannot recall, but the fact that you're only down 6 seems, or like they began the game at down only 6 might be indicative of using second wind, because it was
That's
kind of
fair.
it was a pretty ruthless fight.
Yeah, very sure.
Because Astera ended up getting knocked down and down to 0. So
I'm good.
I mean, we can put this up to a chat vote. Otherwise, perfect. Echo, it is your turn.
Okay, so Echo says, rather exasperated, "How much more can this beast take?" And once again draws her, or raises her rapier to stab once again and try to make the stab wound that she's already made even bigger.
Perfect. What more will it take? Ah, I am immortal! It will take the weapons of gods to slay me!
Dirty 20.
Alright, that hits.
Okay, and that is 7 damage.
Perfect. Stab, crunch. You can feel just rending of the flesh with your blow of the rapier. But there's a lot of meat to this boy here. He's a thick snake. As it cut into him several times, it still just stands imposing and large, bleeding from multiple wounds, yes, but enraged fully. And if that is your turn, we'll go to you, Astera.
Watch as we, mortals, bathe and feast on your blood this eve. And she's going to hit again. So I got an 18, I got a nat 20, and then a 22.
All of those hit.
So, It's a total of 30 points of damage between my 2 weapon attacks, and then 5 points of damage from my spiritual weapon attack.
You can tell me how you slay this creature.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. She says this, and she jumps. She coils up, and like a spring, she propels herself up. Her longsword in both hands, she comes down with it against this giant creature's neck, and just keeps on using her weight and the sheer just strength of this blade and herself, and she rends this thing's head from its body.
And splattering, thump, 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 this like momentum of the cut, the gargantuan head of Python rolls to your feet. I guess not quite to your feet, Estirab, but to where you might stand. As the blood just oozes from the severed head, the tongue lolling from its mouth.
I think there's a moment in the period of time immediately after the fight has happened where they're maybe just taking a moment to collect themselves, gather their breath, collect their weapons and whatnot. And Astro's kind of maybe off to the side someplace, and Achesius comes over and like lowers himself down, like using the body of this like serpentine creature as like a backrest. And he kind of taps his reclaimed falcata kind of against the thing's long body. A relative of yours.
With this thing, no. I am much harder to decapitate than this.
I've heard stories otherwise.
It's good to fight with you again, Achesius.
You as well. Don't ever remember facing something quite this horrible.
It seems as though they are not dead, and the gods have led us to believe something false. Although, what else is new?
The body of Python slumps a bit underneath your weight, Achesius, just a bit to push it over, and as it collapses, it knocks over a thin stalactite that perhaps acts as a pillar in this cave. As you look around and see how fragile the stonework of this naturally carved, naturally made cave is, as it almost triggers a chain reaction, as this place seems to crumble all around you in a cave-in.
How big is this head?
It's a pretty large head. To hold it, you would definitely need both hands. Probably about like 200 pounds, the size of a person.
Ah, okay. Astera's going to grab the head before they leave.
And burdened by the head, I'll need everyone please to make me athletics checks to get out of this cave as it collapses. As these chunks of stone begin to break away.
Do you want me
As
to...
a seismic activity. Go ahead.
Sorry, do you want me to make mine at disadvantage since she's carrying the head?
I don't believe that overburdens you because you have a pretty wicked strength score.
Yeah, I have a +5 to strength.
Yeah, let me just look up what your push-pull carry is with strength.
Okay.
Achesius is also going to gather the broken fang before they go.
Your strength score multiplied by 15. If you have a 20 times 15, is how much you can carry without being burdened. 300 pounds. Okay, yeah. So this would like be your limit, but you can probably do it.
Okay. Sweet.
If it's over that, however, your speed drops to 5 pounds. Sorry, 5 feet. It's over that.
So I just rolled my third one for the evening. So my total on my athletics check is a 7. No, an 8, sorry.
So if an 8 for Achesius,
Got a dirty 20.
Dirty 20 for Estera. Yeah.
Echo also is a dirty 20.
Perfect.
Xanthin fortunately got a 15.
15. All right. Achesius, you perhaps have the limp from some wound you've suffered. The scorching pain of that dragon fire against you. As you realize you're lagging behind the rest of the group, these boulders atop you begin to fall, almost blocking your path. Please make a dexterity saving throw.
That is a 19 total.
You're able to kind of duck and roll out of the way, getting only peripheral damage from this, taking 9 points of bludgeoning damage, but making it safely. As the four of you are able to dash your way through the rest of this cave, and back up to the entrance of the temple from whence you came last session. But as you look, the stairwell itself seems to also be shaking with this seismic rumbling. And ascending it might seem perilous as well. As you can see, the stones shifting, dust falling, debris and small flakes of stone clattering against rock above you and behind you. Do you press on? So you glide up these stairs, sprinting, running, only to see before you, only to hear behind you a sickening crunch of what seems to be the entire complex behind you, collapsing under the great weight of stone, now unsupported. Perhaps it was Python's own body encased in the stone that was really holding it all in place. But now that is no longer the case, and the whole place crumbles out, and as you ascend finally into the temple, you can see there's panic and dissent in the building and even in the streets from where you can see through the column marble pillars of this temple outside. Perhaps you can see, if you round a corner, there are villagers, the citizens, pinned underneath marble pillars, cracked and broken, and some people attending to them, pulling them out of the rubble. You see a large sinkhole that has appeared in the center of the town as this whole temple, the Amphalon, it's almost like breaking off and kind of crumbling backwards to fall into the sinkhole that has appeared. The great tower itself of that great monument begins to kind of shake as it begins to collapse. And as you finally get out with what survivors there are in tow, the entire Temple of Clymene, that central place with the priestesses and the oracle's tenders, crumbles into this a large sinkhole behind you. This town of Pythos seems ravaged by the seismic quakes that have happened beneath the earth from the dragon Python awakening. You see injured folk being tended to, carried out, their wounds splinted. You see some pray, trying to pour libations to the gods to quell their anger. Some curious as to what has cursed them in this way. Some brand others as heretics for causing anger and dissent. For this is a huge atrocity to have this sacred place, this Temple of Clymene, this Amphalon, this huge central temple just collapse underneath the ground that is broken under. And only a fragment of its huge tall tower remains, barely jutting out from the earth. A kilter, of course. And as you look upon the wreckage of this, we'll go ahead and take a bio break.
Right, we will be right back in about 10 minutes, so go to the bathroom and I'll be right back.
And we're back. Thank you, everyone, for wearing and bearing our break. And so the city of Pythos, excuse me, is in chaos around you. The sinkhole of the Temple Clymene has sunk into the earth behind you. There is madness in the streets, confusion, chaos, dissent. What do you do in these moments as you emerge?
I think Akisius is kind of like wandering around, almost aimless, with just like the sheer just chaos and mayhem that's kind of unfolding all around. And he kind of turns halfway towards the others. Why would the gods call us here for this? Just to curse us? What did we do?
It's probably just some sick joke in their game. Put us against trials and tribulations so that we can what? Perform for their amusement. And, I think Astera, there has to be some sort of, like, law here, like, a central guard place, or something like that, or even, like, a garrison close by.
There is, but even as you just look around, you can actually see, escorted by royal hoplites, is the king of Pythos himself, clad in his long furs and his gold armor and the royal wreath that sits upon his head as he descends down from the palace in the higher hills of the city as he comes to this courtyard, this town square.
Perfect. Astera's gonna start marching towards him, head in hand. Well, slithering, I guess. She can't really march.
Slither march.
Do any of you join Astera?
I think Akisius again is kind of lost, but he definitely moves that direction. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. Echo would also start to follow, but she would again put her hood up.
Yeah, Xanthine would follow along as well. Taking words are failing me tonight. Following Astera's lead.
The king before you is a tall man with a salt and pepper beard who shows a bit of his age, a bit of a wrinkled face, but a stature that would betray his age, as he looks just as fit as any other warrior that might exist in the war times. And he's escorted by 4 of these royal hoplites, adorned with filigreed armor that's even fancier than that Akisius wears, though a similar style. What has happened here? This king bellows out to you, Astera, pointing his royal finger.
Astera just pulls. Is he on the ground, or is he in the carriage still?
He is actually atop a horse.
Okay. All right. In response, Astera is going to roll the head of this beast to have it land at the feet of his horse. This is what has happened to this city. This has been let happen by a god you hold so dear.
Is that Is that the python? It cannot be. What has happened to my mother?
To your... Sorry?
He said, what has happened to my mother? I, as King Tyro, demand you tell me exactly what had happened.
Is your mother the Oracle?
Yes.
She has been taken.
Taken by Titans.
This cannot be.
Specifically the one that calls herself Lytheria.
This is grave news, if what you say is true. He kind of looks around, seeing the rest of the citizens and subjects that he has are all just roiling in the chaos and trying to do them the best they can. No one seems to have a cool head, but you four. Come to my palace, we'll discuss this. This is not a matter but here in the open.
Xanthine would bow.
Don't you think you must address your citizens, O king? Put some calmness to their panic. Or would you rather run away, stay in your palace, speak orders to those who have already killed a Titan?
Estera.
And who are you? He asks to you.
I am Estera, captain of... And she lists a long name of what
Of her
army she's
pedigree,
in.
yeah.
Words and stuff. First of her name, fourth Schnauzer, kind of, I don't know. Something like that. I don't know.
Xanthine would kind of step in. She's also the slayer of Python.
You were the one heeded by the Oracle. You must be the other three.
Yes, we were asked to come see the Oracle, but we never got the chance to speak with her.
Stay here but for a moment. As he commands, snaps his fingers, and the hoplites begin to kind of bang their fists against their shields to make a loud kind of in unison noise that attracts the attention of the clamoring citizens. Beneath us, we've lost a great temple, Clymene, but fear not, these brave warriors from distant shores have come to slay the evil that lurked here. Rest easy knowing these heroes dwell among us. All will be right. Trust in your king, Tyro, and the chosen warriors, chosen by the Oracle herself. He announces to the crowd of people. And the crowd of people seem confused yet also understanding, and this was enough for them, perhaps, for them to go amongst their ways a bit more heartened by what happened. Now come to my palace. A private chamber, perhaps we can speak in confidence.
Estera would totally look to Achesius right now and just give him the most egotistical, cocky look.
Yeah, and he certainly catches it, almost like he's even expecting it before she completely turns to face him to throw this look. And he's kind of got his head kind of down in his hand, and he kind of shoots her this sideways look like, what in the underworld are you doing? Like, this is a king.
And so the king and his hoplite begin to kind of trot back through the streetways. of Pythos, excuse me, as he has instructed you to follow. As he goes up the stairs, do you wish to follow him up to his grand palace atop a hill, nestled in a valley of trees and gardens? As you pass by these tended gardens and these flowing fountains that flow down these great steps, forming almost fish-like ripples in the slopes. As you can see, servants and attendants dealing with the plants that form these thin gardens, and otherwise do various servanty style of things. As the rows upon rows of trained royal hoplites stand at attention at his presence, as you can fully see the command this man has. He descends from his horse. A servant takes it away as he goes up into a palace and leads you up some stairs, around a corner, down some stairs, into a chamber, quite sectioned off from the rest of the palace. It's quiet and cozy, barely enough room for the four of you, plus him, as he has a guard stand outside this room with a closed door. I have brought you here because what I think is of grave consequence if my theories are true. If that beast was truly Python, if the Oracle, my mother, was truly captured by Lutheria herself, this is grave news for all of Elysios. And tell me exactly what happened beneath that temple. What you saw, what you encountered, everything.
Do you know why your mother sought us?
I could not speak to her, for she was gravely ill. I sat alongside her day and night, hoping for her to wake. But no, she did not wake.
Who sent
The
you?
last words she said were your names.
She said only our names. And then these missives were sent out to seek us?
Yes, I sent those missives.
Did she?
I thought perhaps that in your presence she would wake.
She was gone before we got there.
Could she have known what was going to happen to her? She's a seer, yes?
She is a great oracle. She has seen the prosperity of Pythos itself come to light. And I have followed her wisdom to lead this kingdom into glory, into prosperity, into even tranquility. These hills have seen no war for dozens of years. My people do not know of famine or sorrow. It's because of her, yes. She sees great visions. Perhaps she saw this to come. But why did she send for you? I do not know. But perhaps... What else did you find down there? What else did you see, encounter? I need to know.
We encountered some monsters.
What kind of monsters?
Great fish creatures, and Esther would look to Xanthine.
I'm trying to remember, were they actually Tritons?
Yeah, they were Tritons, but they were kind of almost like warped to give more fish-like appendages, to be more feral and combative. Blessed by Sidon himself.
They were wild Tritons of Sidon's ilk.
Sidon. A name I have not heard. Though I fear it's holding a grip in these lands. The work of Sidon.
Sidon in these lands? Why do you say that?
My men have reported signs of a cult within this city. A cult of Sidon. I've been looking to end them, to rout them from their homes, to put an end to their evil. Without the Oracle's help, it is difficult to find them.
As he's saying this, Xanthine is kind of nonchalantly hiding her shield and holy amulet.
Make me a sleight of hand to check, please.
16.
All right, he seems to be more focused upon just contemplating and thinking about what is going on and talking to Astera, really to notice as you pass.
Lutheria is the wife to Sidon. If the two of them are free and able to enact their will on the world, what are we to do about it? How?
The Oracle knows. But to get to her, you'd have to know where Lutheria has taken her. And if this cult of Sidon, if they're in on it too, perhaps, yes, there's some scheme they're putting into motion, the two of them.
When did
Those
your
names
mother...
are before my time. Long before my time.
When did your mother become ill?
She bellowed and screamed, and the attendants came to her. And the scream was heard throughout this entire kingdom. And from there, that grave 2 weeks ago, she fell ill.
And she fell unconscious right away, after the scream. Did she say anything to you about her illness?
Not by the time I could get to her, no. I just talked with the attendants, dealing with her. She only muttered your names over and over again, before finally silenced for what seemed an eternity to me. But now that you've been summoned, as her wish, perhaps, it seems you have a part to play in this.
But what?
A design by the Oracle herself.
But why us? And then
I know
she
not
looks,
the wisdom
she
of
looks,
the Oracle.
yeah, to Achesius and Astera, and even probably Echo, and just, kind of nods. She's like, why me?
Well, it would stand to reason that if she was able to see this before it unfolded, and she settled upon our names, there must be some reason.
Reason or no, we have to be careful, King. My lord, about when we go, and how fast we go after Lutheria. When we were in there, she dangled the fact that the Oracle was still alive right in our faces.
You met her, Lutheria?
We did. She was sitting on the dais where the Oracle once lay.
blasphemous. Did she say anything else to you? What did she say exactly?
I don't really remember. Is it just that, that they have her?
I thought she also said something about the game. I don't remember her exact words, honestly. I'm sorry.
And I don't remember either. But we can say that you can recall her exact words or something about, even then, what she actually had said in her completion. She had said that yes, she has taken the oracle, and she had said that the time of Titans was about to come. She referred to something literally as Titanbreak.
Right. Yeah, I remember she did some sort of apocalyptic prophecy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Astera would relay that to the king.
We must find our oracle. Get whatever she knows to our knowledge. But it might be a trap set by that wicked Titan herself.
At this point, Echo would remove again her hood and look rather pleased, actually, and say, "The Titans have finally made their move to unseat the gods, and in order to know each of our parts, we must seek out Sidon and Lutheria. I know not of where we may find Lutheria, but it seems obvious that we need to go to the sea to find the cult of Sidon."
Perhaps. But perhaps this is just a mere distraction the Sidon poses. I know there are traces of the cults in this city, no less. I've heard reports of them, but they remained elusive, even to me and my men. If you could find the trace in this city, find their plans, what was Sidon's will itself, that might help here. As well, I know of someone who knows more than I do about the nature of Titans and gods. She is a hermit. She lives far from here. Seek out my grandmother. If I recall correctly, she'd be in the Golden Glades to the far north. If not there, then perhaps in the broken ruins of the Gaigan Empire, west of that glade. She travels a lot, my grandmother, excuse me. She's a scholar and a hermit. I believe her pilgrimage might have her be either there or there, referring to the two places Ace mentioned. She knows many things, and would be valuable in a time like this. Perhaps can even help us figure out where Lutheria has hidden the oracle. If you go on that quest, I will put every man I have to the pursuit of this cult of Sidon, and perhaps learn of their plans in your absence. It is up to you, I fear. This fate has fallen upon you. Beseeched by the oracle, not even I, her son.
And what about your god? Have you beseeched him for help? Did he say anything about this forthcoming danger, this forthcoming needless loss of lives?
Here in Pythos, our god was the Oracle, and by extension Clymene herself. But I fear the gods seem a bit absent these days. Our libations end in silence. Our prayers fall empty. The harvest grows weak. Our ill grow deathly. Our peaceful kingdom seems tenser. A dread hangs in the air that only those who truly pray can really feel.
It would be good for you to remember this day. And to remember the day when we come back with Lutheria's head on a pike.
This is a moment of history, yes. The fate of all of this will be written in the tapestries of the stars themselves. Inscribed by Nyxos himself.
Well, if there is nothing else, we will take our leave.
And where to, might I ask, so that I can help in this matter? If you wish to go north, I can provide horses, feed, supplies. If you are exploring the city, I will give you our contacts and our clues and our leads. Where will you go?
I think we should discuss this as a group, and we'll send a messenger to you when we've made a decision.
I know it's a heavy matter. Please consider this, consider all of your options and weigh them appropriately. It seems that if what Letheria says is true, the entire world might be at stake here. And so you are dismissed, if you wish, from this little room of talking with the king.
Do we have a place that we were staying?
There was a tavern that you all had been staying at.
Okay.
I
thought I remembered that.
The red vintage or something, the sour vintage, I think it was called.
Okay.
But other than that, no, there's no real place that you have here.
Once they've been dismissed, Achesius is going to give his shield and his war spear to Iocules, his squire, essentially his attendant, to take back to the tavern, and he's going to kind of put his hand on Astera's shoulder, and he says, "I know that we have important things to discuss, but I desperately need time in the waters of the bath. So I will return in a while to the inn, and maybe over a meal we can discuss what we're going to do and at least stay one night before we head back out into the wilds."
I agree. It would be foolish to go out with our state such as this. I will ensure that the tavern is cleared for our needs.
Gently.
And just, yeah, Sarah would just turn to leave.
"Please keep her in line," he says to the other two, and just kind of shakes his head, and he turns and heads towards
I'm assuming there's a bath in this town if it's still standing.
Yeah, you can go find the bathhouse wherever it might be.
Yeah, he's absolutely going to go do that.
So this will be an opportunity for a long rest. As you, Odysseus, you can go to the bathhouse and suds off wounds and cleanse your spirit and your mind in the tranquil waters. The bathhouse seems a bit vacant. Part of the one stall, not one stall, one chamber in this bathhouse has collapsed from the seismic activities, but otherwise stays in business. Though they're surprised that even any customer goes there right now. But nonetheless, you're admitted. So go ahead and take a long rest, everyone, as you just unwind from this and let your heads be cleared, and so your best decision making can follow.
I think Astera would go into this tavern. She would demand that it be cleared so that there would be no risk of there being spies listening in, with the promise that the king will compensate him well for the customers that he has lost.
And this, between your two acts of bravado, I guess, between just throwing the decapitated monster head at the feet of the king, and also just for stabbing this guy in the hand earlier, just he does not get in your way any whatsoever. Like, perhaps he didn't even need to say that he's going to get compensated. He's just like, yep, just don't string me up in my sleep, kind of thing. He just lets you have this as he clears out, and even just almost packs it in for the night, not wanting to disturb you as he has locked the doors so that no other patrons can come in.
She would also insist on having the key for one night.
With that, you have to make a charisma check.
All right.
Using whatever charisma skill you wish.
Always intimidation. That is a 19.
Yeah, he just buckles, breaking underneath your will, and will hand you the key, knowing full well he has a spare somewhere. But he's not going to try and get in the way of a monster like you, Astera. So you have the key to the place.
Okay.
And so the moot can happen, as you've all gone to attend to your needs and meet again at the Sour Vintage to discuss matters perhaps over a meal. But alas, I think even the cook has been dismissed. And so all you have access to are the uncorkable barrels of whatever stiffs you'd like.
Could we actually have access to the kitchen? Even if the cook was gone, we've got the keys and the place to ourselves. It means Anthony has no problem going back and rounding something up for us.
Yeah, sure. Definitely can just have at it.
Astera would take some liquor, spirits from the top shelf and pour each a glass. It is important to toast after a successful battle. To the blood we lost, and to even more of the blood that was spilled of our enemies. She would hold it up.
Yeah, Kesey is dressed in basically pretty much just a tunic at the moment.
He kind of sits up, kind of, oh. You can tell he's kind of nursing some sore wounds and stiff muscles. And he will take up the cup, the chalice that's been poured for him, and kind of smells at the wine a little, and holds it ready to receive the toast.
And Xanthine, before the toast is said, she's holding her glass, her tankard, and she looks to both of Achesius and Astera, and then to Echo. Are we really doing this?
We were called for a reason. It wasn't by accident. The moment we arrived, she's gone. And now these Titans are involved. But she called for us as she fell ill 2 weeks ago. She knew that this would happen. And she sent for the 4 of us. Out of all Alicios, 4 of us. So yes, I am doing this.
This will be the best time to strike. To bring back the honor to the name of mortals, now that the gods are silent. Be time to prove ourselves.
It was only a matter of time before the gods once again abandon those that worship them. They're fickle and untrustworthy, and I hope that none of you have any misplaced loyalties towards them when we endeavor to learn more of this. I'm not to give anyone the wrong impression, but I am merely trying to learn more about this situation.
And as you're saying, undue loyalty, something kind of reflexively grabs that seashell that she has around her neck and kind of, it almost hides it from you, Echo. But then she'll hold up her glass.
Xanthine, you are a priestess. Are you not?
I was training, yes.
And who is your patron?
He kind of taps her. You have a shield that has the symbol. Didn't you say?
Yeah, the shield would also have the symbol. It has a symbol, a seashell with an obsidian eye on it.
Yeah, so he's kind of got like the toe of his sandal that he like kicks the edge of your shield just enough to kind of make it ting ting.
Yeah, and she would kind of grab it and turn it away from all of you, kind of hiding the front again. I'd rather not say right now. And she looks to Astera and then to Echo. Kesa was harshly judged.
You will be judged regardless of your actions. So let your actions speak for themselves, so that other people may judge you based on those, and not their preconceived notions of you. If you have any information that could help us, you need to be forthcoming.
I don't have any information. I don't know why I was sent here or called for. The only thing that I can see is my connection. And she kind of worriedly looks down, but then it's almost like something just kind of passes over her and her spine just straightens and stiffens. And she pulls out the amulet that she has, thus the seashell that also holds an obsidian eye. I'm an acolyte of Sidon.
That is what I was afraid of. You know nothing of this cult that worships Sidon alongside of you?
I do not. Sidon is... And she turns to Sarah. You are always going on about how the gods are absent and they are not talking. Well, Sidon has never spoken to us. But that is the beginnings of faith, and we are not worthy yet of him, but we try. We want to receive his blessing, and we work for it.
Want to receive the blessing of a Titan.
Yes. He is all that protects our city right now.
Did Pythos receive his blessing? Was that what happened today?
What happened today was not Sidon. That was Python.
As I recall, those creatures, are they not of Sidon?
If they are tainted. They are not my people.
You seem to be ignoring Echo's words, Xanthine.
And you seem to be judging me, not on my actions.
Your actions have been to make excuses so far for a god that has sought to destroy us.
Asta.
My actions were to stand beside you and fight.
More wine?
And who's to say that one night you won't slit our throats in the name of Sidon?
And who's to say you won't slit our throats just because you feel like it?
I need all of you right now.
Astra would never slit my throat. Right, Astra?
I would not let her.
I'd like to see you try.
Well, it is good to know that while we are facing monsters, we can at least stand shoulder to shoulder with one another. Maybe if we all get some sleep, rest, recuperate a little from the rather trying ordeal we had today, maybe tomorrow will look a little brighter.
Maybe. You might be right.
Well, all the same, if the two of you wish to continue bickering with one another, you will have to do it without me, because I am tired. Astra, it was good to fight with you again. Seeing that you have not lost your edge is reassuring. It will be good with you. It would be good to go with you when we set out.
As to you. And she says a word, and it's almost as a hiss, but you would know from spending time with her brother that it is in... It could be her native language. She says it's in her native language, but you're not really sure. It could just be a language that she made up. Um, her brother had his doubts, but it's a word that she, at least, thinks to mean brother. And she would call her brother that all the time.
Yeah, there's a moment where I think Achesius goes to almost reply, and then his reply kind of gets stuck, kind of in the throat, not coming out all the way. And instead, he just kind of nods and perhaps even rudely leaves without saying anything to the other two.
Echo, what do you think should be our course of action?
I think we need to decide who it is we're fighting. Xanthing, don't be worried about the fact that you're from Sidon. I hold absolutely no prejudice against those that ally themselves with Titans.
Xanthine would kind of nod in your direction, but she would not say anything at this point. Maybe look down at the table. Fight kind of has left her, you can see, as she's now sitting alone with the two of you.
Do we leave town in search for the Oracle, seek out the grandmother, or do we stay in town and get intel from what we can hear?
My word may not mean much to you at this moment, but we do not even know if this cult has anything to do with the missing oracle. Maybe they just saw an opportunity. But the grandmother, she could tell us something.
Connor, do we know... do we have any knowledge about oracles and whether the sight is passed down or whether it's, like, how that works?
You can give me either... You can give me a religion check there, Estera.
I think she would said that she would ponder that question aloud, so I would open it. I would open that up for anyone because religion. You said religion?
Yeah.
15.
22.
Also 22.
You would know through passing knowledge, as you kind of like, almost in this mood, as you pass around these like fragments of knowledge, you're able to get a cohesive image of like what's actually happening or what you're actually trying to discuss as you fit together these puzzle piece clues. You can figure out as a group that the Oracle of Pythos is a nymph bound to the underground springs that lay and wind underneath the city of Pythos. And nymphs are always strange daughters of things beyond mortals. And so either perhaps the king was referring to his mortal grandmother, or perhaps even the mother of the oracle herself. And so that, if that's the case, it was just some non-mortal, an immortal, perhaps, heritage that he speaks of. Though the genealogy of nymphs is very unclear to even those who are the most versed in religious esoteria in the workings of the world.
Oh, okay. So
You could ask a scholar, and you could ask 3 scholars, and they'll give you 3 different theories about how a nymph comes into being. Some say that they're all daughters of Gaia. Some say they are daughters of Titan. Some say that they're the daughter of gods. Some say that a child being a nymph is mere chance. etc.
So just because it's the grandmother doesn't mean that it's necessarily the oracle's mother.
Yeah, there is that semantics issue that you can bring up in a debate. But that would kind of pop up in the debate between the three of you.
I personally think that we need to talk with the grandmother briefly, quickly. Once we ascertain whether she knows anything or not, we go from there. She is our closest connection.
It may be more challenging to track down one person in a rather vague idea of where she might reside rather than scouring the city for clues.
Perhaps we should get Achesius to weigh on this, talk about this tomorrow. It's much to think about.
Yes, I believe all of you will be needing your rest now. Astera, you did almost face death today. Perhaps you should allow yourself some rest. And you too, Xanthine.
Yes, I am tired. I will retire now. And she would nod to you, Echo, and to you too, Esther, but she doesn't even meet your eyes when she leaves.
Astera would smirk slightly, but then she too would rise and go towards where she had slept the night before.
And Echo, not needing as much sleep as the others due to her heritage, would decide to go outside under the night stars and lay out her winter blanket where she begins to meditate to try to commune with her patron. And under the night sky, her appearance takes an almost more luminescent appearance as previously unrevealed glow to her face that would normally appear as freckles look like the dimmest of stars, and her hair picks up even more silver. And she quietly enters her trance.
And in your trance, you are visited by your warlock patron, the Titan Nixos himself, a silhouette amongst the stars. He is scribing the night sky with paint, perhaps, creating constellations of stars in the night sky, as is one of his many duties. And this visage of him, watching him paint the stars, every night he must do it over again. Each time, he has to make sure that each time they're in the precise same spots. But of course, he gets it wrong, and that's why the stars drift every night, according to the seasons. And that is what your trance is, just watching him paint. He seems quiet this eve. He's always quiet, though. And in the quiet, morning comes to wherever the four of you may rest.
I think Iocules is probably awake before Achesius, and he's, trying to hammer out dents in his shield and armor, and cleaning and polishing his armor and his shield, as well as sharpening his falcata and his war spear for him while he has the privilege of sleeping in. It wasn't always this way. This was usually Achesius' job, but the roles have switched now that his former, not master, but the man that he served is no longer living. He has kind of risen into his position, at least somewhat.
I think Astera would come out in the morning already fully dressed in her armor, sword at her side already.
Yeah, and Xanthine would probably have already been downstairs, and she is maybe there's a well or something in the courtyard of this inn. She would be out there cleaning her robes from the other day because they got quite singed and bloodied, and so she would be out there on the rocks using the water and scouring her robes clean.
So what comes to the four of you this morning, as your minds are cleared? As every morning when we wake up, we have a different approach and different opinion of things that might have been heavily on our mind the night before. We'll always wake up with a different attitude towards things. Maybe we'll have made up our mind or realized some error in our thinking, as our mind always tries to think about things as we sleep and come to its own conclusions. And so too, perhaps your minds have done the same thing, as you have a clear answer in your heads, or perhaps a clear confusion in your heads, a clear mystery. But in this clarity you have, that first morning clarity, what do you do? What plans do you assemble?
How far of a horse ride is it to the either two places of where the grandmother might be?
You could look upon maps and locate where he said, and look and see and chase along with compasses. It'd be a 5-day horse ride north, perhaps. Roughly, there might be a bit of a skew, as you might have to traverse around a forest or around a lake that might not appear on the map. But a 5-day travel is what your estimate is to the Golden Glade, and it'd be a 2-day ride west of that Golden Glade to the Geigen ruins that the king spoke of. But to go directly to the Geigen ruins, you see a pass that could let you cut the distance by 1 day to have it 6-day directly, or 5-day. So 6 days directly to the Geigen ruins, and 5-day to the Golden Glades, and there's a 2-day spread between them. And of course, I will provide, I believe, I'll provide for you guys an actual map of this area so that you can plot your own course to the place. But that's your rough estimate.
I think as soon as everyone gathers together, if that's what everyone wants to do right away, unless anyone has anything else, Astera, what if 5 days is a long time? What if we paid some of the scholars here to do some research on the Titans, read some of the old books, old passages? There must be something about them that we're missing. An ancient text, forgotten, something like that. And I do not have the mind to go through scrolls upon scrolls of text.
Nor do I. Achesius is like combing like oil through his beard, kind of grooming it. Now that he's awakened, he has this kind of long, but it's kind of very shaped beard at the bottom of his face. But the king himself said that he would put his men on discovering information. Could we not also ask them to research these Titans?
Yes, I think that would be quite useful.
So then we are headed north, it sounds like.
That is the consensus of everyone? Yes.
He kind of has his head tilted back as he's kind of looking at his reflection in this like copper polished surface that he's using as a mirror. And he kind of looks over without moving his head away from the mirror. He's going to kind of look over at Xanthine and Echo to see what they might have to say.
Moving forward is better than standing still. I'm happy to go along if that is what the group wants. Quick question: does Achesius have his shield with him?
It's probably not. No, it would probably be with him. He's not currently wielding it or anything. He's probably leaning up in the corner of the room or something.
And what kind of damage does it have on it at this point?
It's like a big puncture wound on it. That's probably the only damage on it, honestly. It's a magical shield, so I don't imagine most normal blows like leave much of a mark on it at all.
Okay, so the puncture wound wouldn't be bigger than, say, a foot?
The diameter of the tooth was like sizably big, maybe like 6 inches at its widest. There's a bit of a rent, but no way would the damage be bigger than a foot in any given direction. And yeah, like normally this orichalcum shield you have that you inherited, it always just bounces off blows. But the fact that this creature, the python itself, was able to puncture a hole through orichalcum itself was terrifying, to say the least, to you, Achesius. But yeah, the sizable hole is less than a foot.
Okay. At this point, Echo would turn to Achesius and say, I'm sorry I did not think of it yesterday in the heat of after our battle, but I noticed how much of a blow it was just to see this shield hurt, and while I cannot restore any magic that might have been lost, I can do this. And she will lay a hand on top of the shield with a kind of dimly oranged glyph appearing around her wrist and cast mending.
Yeah, this will absolutely take Achesius out of the grooming process and completely, as he's turned and almost completely dropped the comb that he's using to watch this happen. Well, thank you very much. It's a very fine talent you have there.
A gift from an unlikely source, but nonetheless, I didn't feel at ease knowing that the group in front of me was standing beside me yesterday in battle, and I hope that if I am soon in battle again, that we will all actually stand side by side despite our squabbles last night and stand united once again.
Okay, I shall send out a messenger boy at once to the king. Let him know of our decision so we can get the horses ready. And to begin the research, Anastar would leave the tavern, looking for some sort of, messenger person.
There is the Squire of Achilles Iocles. This would be kind of up in his job description. He could easily be handed like a scroll, a slip of parchment, perhaps, or a piece of papyrus to go send this message.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't think of that. Yes, that would be good. And Aster would also give him the key to give back to the tavern person.
And so, what do you tell the king in this scribed message? Where do you plan to go?
Headed north.
Actually, before Aster sends it, this might just be my paranoid nature, but I wonder how Lutheria got into such a well-kept sanctity. Could be magic.
Is it not within her capabilities as a Titan?
It also might be in our capabilities to have eyes and ears in places we do not expect. Let us say we are going to the canyon, or wherever the west one is.
And then instead we head to the Golden Glades?
Yes. It is only a bit of a trek, and we shall see if there was any sort of eyes and ears when we go there next.
I think it's a good plan. I agree.
Okay, so then, if no one objects, then Stera would make that claim that they were going to the western, not the Golden Glades.
Perfect. And so, the Squire messenger boy Iocles is able to carry this message up to the palace, as he has been given this rite of the passage in your stead, recognized by his mark or his symbol, or even just by his creed, to allow this message to go to the hands of the king. And as the king promised, horses will be prepared for your leave, with the feed and tack for them, for you to ride to wherever destination you choose to go. And so by midday, you can go, and you'll be approached by the king if you were to go. And he'll tell you, those Geigen ruins lie deep in a fetid jungle northwest of here. I know not much of the Geigens themselves, though they're old, far older than us. The fact that I know their name is even a surprise, because of how much their history has been lost to the sands of time. The wilderness out there, filled with strange things in that jungle. Monsters. I've heard tales of monsters. Scouts have reported beasts that walk as men lurk in those jungles. We dare not go. Our expeditions always fall short. We keep that place a wide berth. But trust in your blades and trust in your companions if you go there. And when you meet my grandmother, tell her that I say hi. As he kind of smiles and claps one of the horses and, lets you go on your way. If you have no further questions or concerns, you'll find that my soldiers will let you pass. No ill will. You'll find them to ease your travel. They'll not block your path. Time is of the essence. So if you don't have any further questions, he'll let you go and ride out.
Yeah, and as we get ready to ride out, I can imagine that maybe it's even Astera. Xanthane is just staring at the horse that she's been given. What do I do with this?
Theseus kind of shakes his head. Of course. He kind of comes over to Xanthane's horse, grabs her hand and puts it on the pommel of the saddle. You hold on to this. And he kind of bends down and grabs her ankle and puts it kind of up into the stirrup. You keep this here. And then you have to swing your other no, and he's kind of like trying to help her up into the saddle, but it's very awkward, I would imagine.
Very awkward, and I'm sure maybe Akisi's doesn't notice this, but maybe the other women do. She's blushing like extremely badly as he's trying to help her up onto this horse.
Akisi is definitely oblivious. And finally, maybe finally, I don't know. He gets her kind of up into the saddle, and he kind of like he just put something precarious on the edge of something, and he's going to kind of like hold his hands up and kind of back away. Oh, it's going to be a long trip, he says to Astera as he kind of gets back in his own saddle.
Yeah, you hear Astera audibly groan. She looks at herself and she's figured out how to ride a horse as a Gorgon. I can imagine it looks very weird. She's kind of wrapped her tail around the horse's body. Almost like a constrictor snake.
So you ride down and deep into the heartlands, beyond the gates of Pythos, past its farmlands, past its vineyards. You notice that the horses you're riding are equipped with over 20 days of food, and for both you and your horses themselves. And even Iocules has his own horse here, as well as a mule that can hold all these belongings and camping gear and other kind of road gear, as this king has fully equipped you guys with proper equipment. And as you leave these rolling countryside hills behind you, the wilderness turns from countryside into deeper wilderness, the untamed lands, distant from this, in the far stretches in this hinterland of the realm of Pythos. As we wrap up our session, as it comes to an end, as next session, I will present to you guys an actual factual map of this region, as you can plot your own course, following your own lines and tributaries and landmarks to get to either the Geigen ruins or to the Golden Glades, whichever ones really suit your fancy. So that being said, thank you everyone for playing tonight, and Sweet.
Thanks, Connor. It was awesome.
Yay.
It's a good group to roleplay with. I have a lot of
A lot
fun.
of fun. You guys got to experience the first Titan that you guys will ever encounter. Thankfully, he was quite weakened in his state. But fortunately, perhaps your Titans that you encounter in the future will not be so weakened, as you'll soon find out. Next time on Titanbreak.
Dun, dun, dun.
Roll credits.
Roll credits. Awesome, thank you. With that being said, we can end the show. If you're interested in more Titanbreak, you can catch us next month. First Friday of the month will be episode 3.